So welcome to this. Oh, I should ask our clerk to please start the YouTube stream, and it looks like she has. Welcome to this electronic meeting of the Government Oversight Committee. This meeting is being broadcast live and recorded on the GOC's YouTube channel. The audio stream is also broadcast on the legislature's website. A few reminders before we get started. The legislature's audio stream is turned on at the scheduled start time for the meeting. The YouTube stream is turned on at or near the scheduled start time for the meeting and will remain on until the end of the meeting. If you are on the Zoom meeting platform and your camera or microphone are on, whatever you say or do will be seen or heard, even during breaks. Please remember to mute yourself when you are not speaking. Please remember to turn off your video if you need to leave the room at any time. For members who will be participating from the committee room, you will need to use your laptop device microphone rather than the room microphone to speak. Please leave the room microphone off. Written materials for this meeting have been mailed or distributed electronically to committee members and have been posted on the OPEGA website at the start of the meeting under GOC meetings section. During the meeting, the OPEGA director and assigned staff may share documents on the screen. During the meeting, the chair will recognize committee members, staff, or others to participate. Members may get the attention of the chair by using the raise hand function in Zoom, raising or waving their physical hand on camera, or making a request by chat in the Zoom. Please remember that the chat function in Zoom should not be used for any substantive discussions or committee business because it is not visible to the public. Please limit use of the chat to getting the attention of the chair or getting help with technical issues. OPEGA staff will be monitoring the chat for technical issues that committee members may be experiencing and will respond via chat or will contact IT as needed. Finally, a reminder that for any vote taken, members must be variable through audio and video. Well, I'm Representative Genevieve McDonald. I represent House District 134. I'm the House Chair of Government Oversight. My co-chair, Senator Libby, will not be joining us today. And now let's go and introduce members. And I'm going to do so just by the order at which you appear on my screen. So Representative Millett.
Good morning, Madam Chair and committee members. I'm Sowen Millett. I represent House District 71, including the towns of Norway, Sweden, Waterford, and West Paris.
And Senator Keim.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Lisa Keim, and I'm proud to represent Senate District 18, which is Northern Oxford County and 2 communities in Androscoggin.
Representative O'Neill.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Maggie O'Neill, and I represent House District 15, which is in Saco.
Senator DeChambeau.
Good morning. Yes, I'm Senator Susan DeChambeau, District 32, and that's Dayton, Lyman, Alfred, Arundel, Kennebunk-Port, and my hometown of Biddeford. Thank you.
Representative Stover.
Good morning. My name is Holly Stover. I represent House District 89, including the towns of Boothbay, Boothbay Harbor, Southport, Edgecombe, Westport Island, and part of South Bristol.
Senator Timberlake.
Good morning. I'm Senator Jeff Timberlake. I represent District 22, towns in Androscoggin and Kennebec County. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. Representative Arata.
Good morning. My name is Amy Arata, and I represent House District 65, which includes New Gloucester and part of Poland.
And Senator Bennett.
Good morning, all. I am Rick Bennett. I have the privilege of serving 13 towns in Oxford and Cumberland counties in the Maine Senate in the beautiful foothills and lakes region of Western Maine. I want to apologize to all of my fellow committee members. I've got another committee that will be meeting later this morning, so I'll be dropping in and out. Thank you.
And did I miss anyone? All right, well, let's get started. Let's see. And summary of April 23rd, 2021 Government Oversight Meeting. Refer to the meeting summary provided to members. Are there any issues with the meeting summary? Seeing none. We have a request for review of the RFP process administered by the Department of Public Safety, Bureau of Highway Safety, and requested DAF's Division of Procurement Services Policies. And sponsored by Representative Bell. GOC members have in your notebooks under tab 2, the OPEGA review request summary and an email from the sponsor regarding the request. We've asked for the sponsor to be with us here today to speak on this request. After hearing from the sponsor, the committee will have the opportunity to ask questions, discuss the request, and consider its options. And so I'm going to turn this over, I believe, to Director Nixon.
Thank you very much, Representative McDonald, and it's good to see everyone this morning. So you have a new request, and you have received a brief review request summary that OPEGA puts together. And also you have an email from the legislative sponsor of the request, who is here and available to speak to you as soon as I do a little introduction. So this is a request that was initiated by a citizen, a constituent, I believe, of Representative Bell, whose company responded to an RFP issued by the Department of Public Safety, Bureau of Highway Safety, and was not awarded the contract. And the contract was awarded to an incumbent contractor that had been under contract to the department for a number of years. And the requester contends the RFP was improperly structured to ensure the incumbent would retain the contract. The requester did appeal the contract award decision to the DAF's appeal panel, and the panel invalidated the award, finding there was fundamental unfairness in the process. And there's also, the requester also points out that there was no remedy provided for the time and expenses associated with proposal submission and the appeal. So as context, Maine's RFP process is overseen by DAFs for all executive branch agencies. DAFs has a division of procurement services. And then state agencies such as the Department of Public Safety that are seeking to contract for goods and services to develop, they go ahead and develop an RFP, which is then reviewed by DAFs, which has a contract review committee prior to the agency issuing the RFP. After issuing the RFP, the agency then reviews proposals and makes the award decision. The award decision is also subject to a DAF's contract review committee approval. And there is an appeal process, which I mentioned, that is administered by DAFs, available to any person who bids on a contract and is adversely affected by the award decision. So we will invite Representative Bell to speak to his request. You have a few little other tidbits of background information on this summary page that we provided. And again, the major questions at issue are around RFP process and the appeal process, and the issue relating to remedies for those who are adversely affected by the process. So if you would like to.
Just one moment. Thank you, Director Nixon. I just want to recognize that Senator Bailey has joined us and give her the opportunity to introduce herself.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I am Donna Bailey, and I represent Senate District 31, which is Saco, Old Orchard Beach, Hollis, Leamington, and part of Buxton. And I apologize for being a little late. I've been having Zoom problems, so thank you.
Relatable for all of us. And Senator Kime, I see you have your hand up.
Yes, thank you. Before we go further with this, I was just hoping I could understand the situation a little better, if you can help me with that, Lucia.
Sure.
So the panel invalidated the award. So they found that there was fundamental unfairness, but what was the next steps then? Did they put out a new RFP and someone else won it and they changed the parameters? I just wanted to understand sort of the next steps from that point.
Sure. And so to my knowledge, so that invalidated the award, and the next step was to put out an RFP. I am not sure I do not know if that RFP process has been completed. This was happening sort of as they put in the request. That hadn't happened. As I would need to check on the status of the subsequent RFP when this was initiated. That had not followed through. Perhaps Representative Bell may have more up-to-date information.
Okay, good. I'll ask him. Thank you.
And I'm happy to get back to you with more details. All I knew was that it was invalidated and the next step would be to go there, but I'm not sure how far that got.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for joining us this morning, Representative Bell, and please proceed.
Thank you. Good morning, chairs and fellow esteemed members of the Government Oversight Committee. Thank you for this opportunity. The summary that you received is most accurate, and where we left off to Senator Kimes' question is really unanswered at this point. We do not know where the new RFP, if it's been issued or whether it's been awarded, and that's pretty much the point of this whole inquiry today, is to understand. And we thank the committee and for the process of searching out a remedy, but we just want to know what that remedy is and how it's going to be played out. So I don't have much to offer other than to say we're hoping that this meeting today will help us resolve some of these open-ended questions.
And Senator Kime.
There we go. Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Representative Bell, for bringing this forward. So could you give me a timeline? When was the complaint made, and or maybe I don't see this information in the packet. So again, just trying to understand the whole picture of when the complaint was made, when the when the award was made, then when the complaint was made. Has this been unwinding for months or weeks, or that's what I'm trying to figure out how the process has played out so far.
Thank you for that question. The RFP was issued way back at the beginning of 2020. My constituent found out about the RFP kind of surreptitiously. It wasn't through the normal channels of the way RFPs are usually issued. So that was a concerning thing initially. He completed the RFP, and then the contract was awarded back in July, I believe. And that's when he looked at the fact that it didn't seem like a fair process. An appeal was made, and the appeal panel came back on November 30th, and they found that they invalidated the initial award and found that there was fundamental unfairness resulting from the process, and that's basically where it's been left. And that was on November 30th. My constituent has inquired on several occasions to find out, where the next step is. And he's incurred, costs involved in preparing the RFP and preparing his defense for the appeal. And would certainly like to offer, the opportunity to respond to a new RFP. But that opportunity hasn't presented itself. So that's essentially where it is. And we really have had not any updates since the appeal panel announcement way back on November 30th.
So you said that in July the contract was awarded, but I missed when your constituent put in an appeal.
Soon thereafter, I would say it was
Okay.
July, August at the very latest.
Okay. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Any further questions? I have a question for Director Nixon. Can you, sorry, was that Representative Millett? Director Nixon, can you tell us what is the committee or agency of jurisdiction in this process?
So for the DAF's procurement side of things, that would be the Committee of State and Local Government, and the agency would be DAF's. For the specifics of this particular RFP process was administered by the Department of Public Safety, Bureau of Highway Safety. And so, so from that perspective, that Department of Public Safety actually has several committees of oversight, but for issues related to highway safety, it is typically the Transportation Committee.
So it could be helpful to have one of them come before the committee, come before government oversight and respond to the questions that Senator Keim and perhaps others have about where the current status of this RFP is. Any other discussion? Representative Millet.
Thank you, Madam Chair. To your comments, that was where I was coming from. Is the Department of Public Safety expected to respond to the complaint and the testimony that we've heard, as well as the summary? Are they, have they been asked to respond to the summary in any way at this point?
Not yet. So this is just the first step of a new request.
Okay.
Senator Keim.
Some other information that I would like to have as we consider this is past practice on the RFP process specifically here. You know, it seems a long time that it's been dropped. So they made the appeal to, you know, they made the decision on November 30th, but there's still been no action taken on it. So I just wonder how usual that is. I'd just like to know some timeframes around the other RFP process so we can compare this situation to others more accurately.
Thank you. I was wondering that myself, actually, if this was sort of a one-off, or is this indicative of maybe a wider process? Director Nixon, can you quickly review for us a summary of what our next actions could be?
Sure. So you have a number of options. This is, again, as Representative McDonald, as you said, that's the introduction of the first hearing of it. So one is you could decide to take no action at this time. Other sort of initial steps can be to request additional information, which I'm starting to hear that. So that is one, to specify additional background information that you would like to get from the relevant agencies. And again, these were identified potentially as staffs and the Department of Public Safety, and or additional information from OPEGA, and have that reported back to you at a subsequent meeting. In some instances on new requests, you may refer it to a policy committee like you did with the Blueberry Commission. So that's another option. If, you know, other options are more actually proceeding to put it on the work, you know, put it potentially on a work plan for a review. Those are sort of, I would say, as further along the side. So the real initial ones are do nothing, refer to a policy committee, ask for additional information from OPEGA and or the administrative agencies.
Sounds like we could perhaps be leaning towards requesting additional information, and including, I believe Representative Bell offered to have his constituents speak to us, which may be helpful since he was the one who went through this process. So that is certainly somebody that we could include. Does anybody like to make a motion? Is anybody leaning towards a particular direction? Senator DeChambeau.
Yes, Representative McDonald, I don't have a motion, but things keep running around my head. Anybody who's ever served on a city council or a board of selectmen know that RFPs get messed up sometimes, and there are a lot of appeals, but this does bother me that the award was given in July. The gentleman who felt wrong appealed in a timely fashion, and it took till November 30th. And the email we have that basically said the issue is now with the Maine Board of Highway Safety and will soon reissue. And that memo was written on in January. So I guess I'm just really supporting what Senator Keim was saying about it's not only this one, but I am somewhat displeased if this is how long it takes to appeal any award, and maybe some background information would help us look at or if this is just germane to this one. Yeah, I don't have a motion. I think Ms. Nixon has laid out some of the options we have, and I think we do need more information. So I'm frankly not sure how to phrase the motion. So I see Senator Kime, who will bail me out on that one. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator DeChambeau. And Senator Kime.
I would make a motion that we request further information about this whole situation and take it up again at a later meeting and invite some of the stakeholders in the process to come share with us the information that they have. And so that would be my motion. And then I do have some other information I would like to request.
And do we see a second for that motion? Senator Timberlake. And do we need to take a full roll call vote here, I assume? Or can we do a show of hands, Director? Oh, you're on mute.
Sorry. When you're ready to vote, you've typically been doing roll calls, so that is your discretion. And it sounded like Senator Kime, just process-wise, had some additional discussion before.
All right. Senator Kime.
Thank you. Yes, so a couple of other things that information that I thought would be helpful. Representative Bell mentioned that when the RFP was put out, that it was done irregularly. And I guess I would like some more information about what that looks like and that means. And then he also suggested that the RFP was tailored to the incumbent. So I would like to know how long that contractor has been contracted with the state and how long this one person has had the ongoing contract. Thank you.
Representative Arata.
Thank you. I think rather than just looking at this individual occurrence, we need to look at take a broader view of the RFP process. And, is there a standard operating procedure for RFPs? I know, like Senator DeChambeau said, every town council, board of selectmen, they have an RFP process. And if they don't follow it, then there's trouble. People get upset. So there should be a standard operating procedure. And perhaps the 2008 report would refer to something that we could use. So I don't know if that needs to be in a motion, but perhaps that's some more material, more information we could have for the next meeting, if you all agree. Thank you.
So, Director, how would this work? Would we, or I'm assuming that you're taking notes of this information, would we summarize this in a request, in a letter? How does this process work to, gather everybody's thoughts and questions into one request?
Was that to me?
It was, sorry.
Oh, yeah, okay, sorry. I was taking notes furiously. Yes, so what would happen is that I can sort of summarize what I've heard, and what I would understand would be that the request for additional information from the stakeholders we've heard mentioned would be DAFs and the Division of Procurement Services there, the Department of Public Safety and their role in this, potentially hearing from the constituent who is most closely involved with this particular issue, and that you're looking for, and OPEGA would also assist in gathering background information on the RFP process and procedures for state contracting, and the specifics, getting nailed down the specifics on the timeline around this particular procurement, and the questions around the incumbent, and schedule at a subsequent meeting, invite representatives of those agencies to be available, and we would try and gather information to provide you in advance of the meeting. Does that answer your question?
It does, and that sounds like a very apt summary for the questions that I have heard so far. And Representative Stover, do you have anything to add to this?
Thank you. I would just add that if there are data sets available about procurement, including on RFPs, the date of release, like if they track their own efficiency around date of release, date of award, and then the number of appeals they receive annually. We could just have some data, even 2 or 3 years of data saying, just to see what that could look like. And I'm sure they track that somehow for quality assurance.
Sure, I can add that to the list.
Thank you.
Representative Millet.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm assuming the motion was seconded and we're in discussion now.
We are.
So just to put a finer point on what I've heard, which I agree with everything that's been talked about, if we could have a copy of the RFP itself and all of the minutes or narrative summary of the DAF's appeal process, and ask that the person at DPS who is primarily overseeing the contract be present, as well as the chair of the DAF's Contract Review Committee and the appeals panel. And at that time, I would hope that Representative Bell and perhaps his constituent could also be there. So we would have the benefit of information and the people present who participated in the drafting of the RFP, the awarding, the appeal, and now the parties that are in dispute. So all of that would be very helpful to have assembled, including that report back from 2008, Lucia, which I think is probably good background to have for the state process. But I do think we need the information and then have all of the people involved present for the next or future meeting. Thank you.
And Representative Stover. Okay, that's why I wasn't sure. Does anybody else want to add anything to the discussion? Right, we have a motion and we have a second. Are we ready for a vote? It looks as though we are. Etta, will you please call the roll?
I will. Senator Libby? Senator Libby absent. Senator Keim?
Yes.
Yes. Senator Bailey?
Yes.
Yes. Senator Bennett?
Yes.
Yes. Senator DeChambeau?
Yes.
Yes. Senator Timberlake?
Yes.
Yes. Representative McDonald?
Yes.
Yes. Representative Dillingham? Absent. Representative Arata?
Yes.
Yes. Representative Millet?
Yes.
Yes. Representative O'Neill?
Yes.
Yes. Representative Stover?
Yes.
Yes. 10 yes, 2 absent.
Thank you, Etta, and thank you, Representative Bell, for joining us today. We will see you again at a future date.
Thank you very much.
All right, moving along to unfinished business. We have a work session on OPEGA's proposed evaluation parameters for the historic rehabilitation tax credit after 2007. And Director Nixon, could you please provide your overview?
I need to unmute first. So earlier this week, we sent you a memo and 2 worksheets. You actually have work sessions today on the evaluation parameters for 2 different tax expenditures that were presented at your last meeting. And as noted in the memo, I just sort of wanted to provide the overall framework before we dive into the specifics of each of these 2 tax expenditures. So the evaluation parameters are a key part of the process because they provide the framework within which OPEGA will proceed to conduct and report on the evaluation of these tax expenditures. And under the statute that guides this work, there are 4 types or categories of parameters. 1 is the purposes, intents, or goals of the tax expenditure. 2 is the intended beneficiaries of the tax expenditure. 3 is the evaluation objectives. What are you trying to learn from this evaluation? And 4 are measures for analyzing the objectives. So what data will you look at? So as I noted, you should have received 2 worksheets. I can also share these on the screen. On these worksheets, we've outlined in one column the proposed parameters, then any public comment that you receive relevant to the parameters, and then additionally some notes and comments on notes from us in processing the information that was received at the public comment period. And we just wanted to, heading into this, we wanted to note that and acknowledge that members of both the GOC and the Taxation Committee have expressed interest in having results from these tax expenditure evaluations of historic rehabilitation tax credit and the R&D tax credit available to policymakers to inform legislative action in the second regular session. And so to respond to those interests and priorities, we are proposing to access and evaluate secondary data sources as an existing research and analysis to take a first cut at this and address evaluation objectives to the extent possible. And this will allow us to move swiftly. And we can also identify areas in which there might be a need for additional further data collection. So in summary, what we're trying to do is figure out a way to get you as much information as we can in response to the interest in having that before the legislature over the second session. And if we find that there are objectives that we can't answer without significant additional primary data collection, we would share that information with you as we went along, and certainly in the final report, and scope out potential follow-up work. So with that, I will proceed to the historic rehabilitation tax credit, and let me know if you are seeing. Can somebody give me a heads up or a thumbs up?
We are seeing it, yes.
Okay, super, thank you. So on your screen, you have the worksheet for the historic rehabilitation tax credit. The proposed parameters are in the left-hand column, public comment, and then our notes in the right-hand column. And I would just also say that as we go through this, ultimately what you're doing today is, the goal for today is to get to a vote on the proposed parameters. If the GOC wishes to approve the parameters as presented, that would just be a single motion. And if you have specific amendments that you want, you could note those. So I will run through the parameters and public comment, and just to refresh everyone's memory, and then take any questions. So for the historic rehabilitation tax credit, the purpose, intent, or goals of the credit, there are 5 bulleted items identified: encouraging rehabilitation of historic properties, promoting historic preservation, promoting community revitalization, increasing economic activity and jobs, and expanding affordable housing. During the public comment period, you also heard about another potential purpose or intent, which would be to that the program would result in greenhouse gas reduction and building efficiencies. And this was taken from the title of a bill that was presented and considered this session, which is noted in the right-hand column that included in the title for that bill to extend the credit was this concept of reducing greenhouse gas and promoting weatherization. Previously in our research, we had not seen this particular goal prior to this session referenced, but we do note that issues around greenhouse gas reductions are referenced by advocates and also in the research literature. Next up, the intended beneficiaries. So in our first pass at this, in our document that we presented to you, we did not specify any specific intended beneficiaries. And this was because we were unable to find any clear statement of intended beneficiaries in the statute beyond the direct recipients or those people who take the credit. And we note that under the purpose, intent, and goals of the credit, we do speak to broader groups that benefit. So what we would refer to as indirect beneficiaries. And you did receive some public comment about looking at the more indirect beneficiaries. And again, we note that those are tied back to the purpose, intent, and goals that we identified above. So what we have done is taking into consideration the public comment and interest in sort of perhaps looking more widely, is we have an updated list of intended beneficiaries that we are presenting to you today to flesh out more than we had at the prior meeting. And those would be, first, the direct recipients of the tax credit, and then second, indirect beneficiaries, which would be historic property owners and developers, communities with historic rehabilitation projects, affordable housing residents, and also mentioning a broad public benefit to citizens and taxpayers. Okay, turning to the last two groups of parameters, the evaluation objectives. Now, I'll just note that these objectives listed here, A through I, are specified in statute as the menu of objectives for OPEGA to consider in a tax expenditure evaluation review. And we do in this case, and typically also proceed to propose that we will consider each of these objectives and report on each of them to the extent warranted and practical based on the availability of necessary data, the level of resources required and available, and the relevance of the particular objective to this tax expenditure. So as we go through this, we will keep in mind all of these listed objectives and address them each to the extent possible. Some we will be able to go in more depth than others. I think the public comment here has been addressed in the way in which we have provided updated proposed beneficiaries. For performance measures, this is what OPEGA will look at as a way to answer the questions about the evaluation objectives. We've listed here a series of data elements that we will look to, including the tax credits claimed, state budget revenue loss and net impacts on the state budget, federal tax credits leveraged, new construction spending generated, pre and post tax assessments of rehabilitated buildings, jobs created, affordable housing preserved and created, and just in general describing the number, location, and types of projects supported by the credits. We note that in the public comment period, you heard some interest expressed to have consideration of outside public and private capital investment attracted to the state and indirect spending and revenue arising from historic rehabilitation. We note that the federal tax credits leverage do to some extent would address outside public support, and that for indirect spending, we think that some of the things that we have listed here would address some of that. So for instance, the new construction spending and the increased potentially changes in property tax revenues. So we just wanted to note that those are to some degree considered in what we've listed, and we would also be mindful of other opportunities to, if we saw measures that spoke more broadly to either of these items. Finally, I wanted to note that at the last meeting, there was a question from Representative Dillingham on what number of projects using the tax credit are affordable housing projects. So we followed up with the Maine Historic Preservation Commission and found that there are 164 total projects that have been certified or underway through this credit. And of these, 29 are affordable housing projects that qualify for the increased credit. And they also noted that in addition to 29 projects that qualify for the increased credit for affordable housing, there are buildings that include affordable housing but do not get the higher credit because they aren't actually creating new affordable housing. So 29 is sort of the a low number of the projects affected by affordable housing. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions. The proposed parameters, again, are in the left-hand column of your worksheets. And
all right, well, thank you, Director Nixon, for that review. Unless members need it to still appear on the screen, there we go. Thank you. Makes it a lot easier for me to see people's hands. Does anybody have a question? Anybody want to add comments to this discussion? Representative Millet.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And to Lucia, could you give us maybe today a picture of where the LD 201 stands in terms of committee review and report, if any? I like the purposes, goals, and of the credit itself. I'm not sure if the sunset is imminent or what the bill itself seeks to do in terms of extending it. I thought the beneficiaries piece and the second category, the third category I liked. I wondered if you were looking for us to help you with defining item D in the objectives list in terms of the actual beneficiaries. It seemed like your comment would be that it would be difficult to evaluate without that being defined. And finally, I think the numbers that Lucia just commented on would be nice to have in front of us with whatever supporting detail there is. But I'm impressed with the proposed parameters, and with those few questions, I'd like to hear a little bit more, but I think it's a good piece of work. Thank you.
Sure, I'm happy to respond. So first of all, the bill LD 201 has been it was taken up on the it was voted out of committee, ought to pass as amended. It was considered when you were in session on the 28th, and it was passed to be engrossed, and it was engrossed in the House and the Senate on the 28th. The committee amendment is to, let me just quickly pull that up so I give you the right information. So the committee amendment, so the bill had proposed to extend the sunset by 15 years. The committee amendment extends the sunset by 5 years. And that is the primary change. It gives also, the amendment gives 5 years for a reporting date for Maine State Housing on the affordable housing portion of the credit, and also authorizes the taxation committee to report out a bill in the second session related to the credit. So I hope that answers that question. And on the question in the evaluation objectives D, so we had proposed for that part of assessing the evaluation objective that's in statute is to what extent are the beneficiaries of a tax expenditure the actual beneficiaries, those that are the intended beneficiaries. And typically we approach that by looking at the question of the direct recipients. So what systems and processes are in place to ensure that those qualified for are eligible for a credit are those that are actually getting it. And we can also speak more generally as we look at the purpose, intents, and goals and evaluation of whether those are being met. We will look more broadly at who's benefiting from the credit more broadly. So I think we're clear on what we need to do for that objective D.
Do you have a follow-up, Representative Millett, or did that answer your question?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just briefly, thank you, Lucia. That was very helpful. Probably even more helpful to me, given the greenhouse gas emissions issue that the bill promotes, as well as the sunset extension, would be to see a copy of the engrossed version that was before us on the 28th of April. And other than that, I think you've answered my question very clearly. And the one last piece, I was trying to capture your verbal comments about the number of projects, maybe a further breakdown of that, Lucia, with timeframes and zeroing in on those that are qualifying for the affordable housing. And those comments you were making were impressive, but I couldn't keep up with you. Other than
Sure.
that, thank you.
And the information that I was verbally providing is on the worksheet on the final page. So if you want to look back at that, it's on page 3. So you can follow that along. And that was an answer to a specific question. We will provide, as we go through the evaluation, we will providing all those kinds of details that you're asking for. If there is specific information, however, that you want immediately, please let me know, because otherwise that is just all those descriptive statistics that you are referencing is something that we'd be collecting as part of the evaluation and reporting to you. If you want anything sooner though, please let me know.
And then Representative Arata, did you take you're good? All right. So I think my question is to Representative Millet. Are you proposing changes to the report, or did you just have additional questions?
No changes proposed. I had ignored or didn't see page 3, but copies of that engrossed version of LD 201 is the only issue that I would like when we take it up again.
Thank you. And so I would entertain a motion to pass this report as written. Senator Kime.
Yes, I would make that motion. Thank you.
And do we have a second? Representative Stover. Any further discussion?
Can I just ask a quick question?
Absolutely.
Just process wise, I understand what you're doing, so I think I'm all set, but I just want to get the wording right. So what we need to hear and is statutorily is whether the GOC approves the proposed evaluation parameters as presented by OPEGA. So that just to fulfill what the statutory requirement is before we proceed, that the GOC takes a vote on approval of the parameters. So if we could, I would just ask to
thank
get
you,
that
Director Nixon.
clarified.
Senator Kime, are you happy to make your motion be proper statutory language?
Yes, exactly as Lucia stated it. Thank you.
And Representative Stover, would you like to second that motion still?
I second that motion. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you, Director Nixon, for guiding us in the appropriate direction, or me, rather. All right. But seeing no further discussion, Etta, would you please call the roll?
I will. Senator Libby? Absent. Senator Kime?
Yes.
Yes. Senator Bailey?
Yes.
Yes. Senator Bennett? Absent. Senator DeChambeau?
Yes.
Yes. Senator Timberlake?
Yes.
Yes. Representative McDonald?
Yes.
Yes. Representative Dillingham? Absent. Representative Arata?
Yes.
Yes. Representative Millet?
Yes.
Yes. Representative O'Neill?
Yes.
Yes. Representative Stover?
Yes.
Yes. 9 yes, 3 absent.
Thank you, Etta. The next item on our agenda is a work session on OPEGA's proposed evaluation parameters for the research expense tax credit. And Director Nixon, could you please present your worksheet?
Sure. Let me pull the next worksheet up for you. Okay, you see that fine now?
We do.
Okay, great. So similar format. So this is the research expense tax credit, which provides credits for spending on research and development. And for the proposed parameters, I would just also note here, you did not receive any public comment verbally or in writing on this one. So the purpose, intents, and goals are to stimulate R&D investment, create high quality jobs by encouraging R&D investment, and encourage recruitment and training of employees. And finally, to improve the overall economy of the state by expanding the number of businesses conducting and investing in R&D. For intended beneficiaries, so similar to the other one, it's the businesses conducting and investing R&D that are actually taking the credit or receiving more direct, and then indirectly qualified organizations that are performing contracted research and development activities would also be benefiting. And we would also note, as we did similarly for the historic credit, is that the purpose intensive goals speak to even broader groups that would benefit from the overall activity in research and development. The evaluation objectives are the same exact list you saw before. They're outlined in statute, so here they are again. And as before, OPEGA proposes to consider each of the 9 objectives and to report on each to the extent that is warranted and practical, depending on the availability of data and resources necessary and the relevance of the particular objective. So this is the menu we would keep in mind throughout our work and do our best to address each of those. For proposed performance measures, here's the data that we have so far identified that we could use to answer some of the questions. So tax credit claims, state budget impact, again, similar to the prior credit. In this case, number and location and income of employees added or retained in connection with the R&D tax credit, the number and amount of R&D investments made by those who receive the tax credit, and other measures which we will seek out of direct and indirect improvement in the state economy connected with research and development spending. We'll stop my share and take any questions.
All right. Representative McDonald had to step out for a second, so I'll take any questions if folks have any. All right. Oh, Representative Miller.
Thank you, Representative O'Neill. The only question I have is, given the fact that we adjourned so quickly back in March of 2020, it would be helpful to see that bill that actually must have been accepted in the House and found its way on the table, but just died because of lack of attention, LD 977 with the committee amendment, just so we could see the improvements that our predecessor legislature intended to put before us as we consider this credit going forward.
Sure, I'd be happy to forward a copy of that to you. Yep. As it landed at the end of the session with many other bills, we'll send you the latest and greatest of that.
Great, thank you.
Thanks, I'll turn it back over to the.
Thank you for a few minutes there. Do I see any other questions or discussion? All right, and now I'm going to read this in the specific language. Do we see a motion to approve the proposed evaluation parameters as presented?
Madam Chair, I would so move.
And do we see a second? Representative Stover. Any further discussion? Seeing none, Etta, could you please call the roll?
Senator Libby, absent. Senator Keim.
Yes.
Yes. Senator Bailey.
Yes.
Yes. Senator Bennett, absent. Senator DeChambeau.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Yes. Senator Timberlake.
Yes.
Yes. Representative McDonald.
Yes.
Yes. Representative Dillingham, absent. Representative Arata.
Yes.
Yes. Representative Millet.
Yes.
Yes. Representative O'Neill. Representative O'Neill.
Yes, I don't know if my computer froze.
Yes. Representative Stover.
Yes.
Yes. 9 yes, 3 absent.
Thank you. And now we have a report back from Agriculture, Conservation, and Forestry Committee regarding the request for review of the Wild Blueberry Commission. And I would like to recognize Representative O'Neill.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So we, as you might remember, had a request from representatives in the Washington County area, and we decided to send it over to ACF for more of a conversation. And what we found in our committee is that we did have a really robust conversation. I had a lot of folks from the area reach out. So seeing that there was a lot of interest, I have spoken with Director Venturini about moving forward and seeing this as something that would be helpful to his process as a new director and kind of rebuilding. But something that I just was surprised today, because there was a letter from Director Venturini that just indicated maybe we had a bit of a misunderstanding. So something I wanted to request is that we table this and then take it back up in at our next meeting.
Senator Timberlake.
Yeah, thank you. I've been around this for a few years, and Senator Black contacted me yesterday, and I received 2 or 3 emails on this. I think it's something, as I look at this and was involved with it a few years back, that this commission just got set up in January of 2020. Members never got appointed until September of 2020. They've only had about 6 months to start to put this together and start to figure it out. I would, Representative O'Neill, I would agree with you that we should come and look at this again, but I would like to give this a chance to work for at least a year, and then, which would be, we'd be back in session at the next session, then report back to the Ag Committee at that time after they've had 1 year of functioning. And then we take a look at it then, after it's had a year of review. I think we need to give them a chance to make it work with all the new directors that have been put onto the commission and all the things that have happened. And I would rather not think that they was being under some real microscope, but let this commission work the way it was designed to work there. This is a self-inflicted tax upon themselves. And I just, as a farmer and somebody who's been around this, I just think that's the right thing to do, is give it a little time and see if it doesn't work out under the new directives and new appointments that were just made. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. So I actually have a number of thoughts about this. So as a lobsterman, I participate in the Maine Lobster Marketing Collaborative, and there was something in Director or Mr. Venturini's letter that I wanted to ask him about, but unfortunately he isn't here today. I think that probably we did not invite him. And I would like the opportunity to speak with him. It certainly doesn't have to be in committee, but one of the things, I'm going to bring up the sentence. So the very last sentence, we look forward to suggestions from the GOC about how to best use the wild blueberry tax to effectively and efficiently increase the prosperity of Maine's wild blueberry farms and businesses. And while I appreciate the confidence that he has in the Government Oversight Committee, ideally, we would actually not be weighing in on the Wild Blueberry Commission at all. And what made me, what the thing that I wondered about is that the Maine Lobster Marketing Collaborative has 2 public members with experience in marketing promotion, in addition to industry members. So I see that the Wild Blueberry Commission has 5 harvesters and 5 producers, which is very similar to the Lobster Marketing Collaborative, but then also has the addition of 2 people experienced in marketing, with addition to the commissioner of, in this case, DMR, and the commissioner of Economic and Community Development, or their proxy. And I feel like having the input of those members really helps guide that collaborative. And so it's sort of just a general question that can't be answered today, but I was curious from people with more experience with that commission if changing the composition could possibly be advantageous to their work. So I just want to throw that out there into the universe. And Representative O'Neill.
Thanks, Representative McDonald. I mean, I am not Director Venturini, so can't, speak on behalf of the commission, but the structure, as I understand it, is that you have the growers and processors that are members of the commission, and there's a whole separate structure for marketing. So I think we could have a more substantive discussion, and it's why I didn't crack it open, because I think there's a lot to be said and explore. Really, my request was just that I saw something that took me by surprise, because I had made an agreement with the director. So I just wanted a little more time to touch base with him and see.
Could you just, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Could you just refine for us a little bit what the differences are between their perspective and where you're standing? Where is the miscommunication, if you will?
Oh, sure. I'm not sure. We had agreed that a lot like what Josh Tardy was saying during the process with MCILS, which was that in rebuilding, this could be a helpful tool potentially, just to get some ideas, and that it didn't necessarily have to be a scary process to come and work with OPECA, that it could be actually a really helpful tool in his toolkit to help serve the the growers and the processors in that area. So I heard their concerns. I thought they were really important, and I wanted to do our best to support them. So that was our agreement, and I just need to touch base to see. I know that my co-chair wasn't able to attend the meeting that we had about the blueberries in the first place. So I don't know if maybe there just was a miscommunication. But anyway, that's, I think, more info than anyone needs. So
Thank you, Representative. And Senator Keim.
Thank you. Representative O'Neill, I just wanted to clarify what your statement was. You were surprised, you had thought that they were coming to continue working with OPEGA, but instead their letter stated, give us some time and then we'll report back to the Committee of Oversight. And is that what surprised you? I just wanted to clarify your statement.
yes, yeah, that just was new information. So I wasn't sure when I opened it this morning at 8:30. I said, oh, okay. So
okay, thank you.
So the Wild Blueberry Commission is reporting back in January of 2022 to ACF. Is that correct?
that was something that we agreed on. We thought it would be helpful to have them come report back in a year's time. So definitely agree with that.
Okay, so what I'm hearing is the possibility of having the Wild Blueberry Commission return beforehand. So at a probably recently scheduled meeting. And then also Senator Timberlake's suggestion that we hold off until January of 2022 or after ACF has had their opportunity. Is that a reasonable summary?
I think that's a reasonable summary of Senator Timberlake's request. What I am requesting is before we decide either way what to do, that I have the chance to go and convene with stakeholders like Senator Moore and Director Venturini and see if we can come to an agreement about what works best for everybody.
Gotcha. Sorry, I totally skipped over the fact that you asked for it to be momentarily tabled. And then because we have Senator Moore here, I would like to take the opportunity to ask if you have any input, since this is really in the heart of your district.
Thank you very much, Representative McDonald. I really appreciate that. Just one comment. I like your idea about having two people that are experienced in marketing, but I am reminded that the makeup of the commission itself is by statute. And
Yes.
so that's why when we changed it and added the two growers, so that would have to be something that we'd have to go through with the bill and change that to add that to that. Other than that, I know that there's been some conversation about at least giving Eric an opportunity to have worked for a year in that position with the new board, everybody being on board. So I think Washington County delegation is okay with reporting back in January to ACF as to how the year went, so that we have a look at 2021 and what we've done and what our numbers are and how we're doing with that. But we do leave that up to the committee and the decisions that they make, Representative O'Neill and Senator Dill. So thank you. Thanks for the opportunity to say a few words.
Thank you, Senator. It's nice to see you.
Good to see you as well.
And Senator DeChambeau.
Thank you. I was just going to say at least half of what Senator Moore was just talking about. I am interested. I like this third paragraph from ACF about the statutes. So at some point, I would like Ms. Nixon to provide us with those statutes. That's basically just the composition, but at least I'd be able to look at what other people testified at that hearing and what was said. And I just want to say that I support Jeepers. This will never happen again, Senator Timberlake. I support what Senator Timberlake just said about waiting for January of next year. I just can't wait for us to be all together in one room again. So, but that seems reasonable in light of the fact it took so long, as Senator Moore was telling us, to appoint people. I mean, the dust has got to settle sometime, and it looks like they may be on their way. But the statute will help us also. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. And then if I could ask Director Nixon, can you please just review the questions that were in the initial review request?
Yeah, sure. I just want to, because it's been quite a while, so I thought it might be helpful. So the original review request came to the GOC in February of 2020. And so that review request was looking at where is the blueberry tax money going? Is the commission using the Wild Blueberries Association of North America to steer it back to themselves and not for marketing? What questions about the relationship between the blueberry industry, the Wild Blueberry Commission, and the Wild Blueberries of North America, and transparency in that. And then also oversight of the Wild Blueberry Commission and the Wild Blueberry Association of North America, and the adequacy of oversight of those two entities. And so what I'm understanding as well is legislatively during the same period, there was a change to the makeup of the commission, and that ensued. But I just also wanted to refresh people of what the original questions were.
And have we received answers to any of those questions? Did you receive any of those answers in ACF, Representative O'Neill?
Thanks for the question. So part of what we passed over was a lot of the files that Director Venturini brought to us. He brought us a lot of information. I think it was too much to even send over in an email, as Karen put it. But so that material will be available for us to go through. Something I wanted to add that I did not have the chance to add was the meeting was well attended. A lot of different folks came to talk, and I personally received a lot of phone calls and a lot of interest from folks in the area about this. So that's just a bit of why I'm interested in making sure that everybody's on the same page when we decide as to whether we wait for a year or not. Because some folks were really appreciative of this process and really looking forward to having some support via OPECA. So I just want to make sure in partnership with Senator Moore and the delegation that folks feel like their needs are getting met here.
Okay. And I'm amenable to either idea, so I'm going to turn to the committee to help guide this process. Representative Millett.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm reflecting on the comments of Representative O'Neill at the beginning and just now, and your comments about the lobster cooperative, Senator Timberlake's feedback from one member of the committee, and Senator Moore's comments. It feels to me like this issue, while still important, is moving away from OPECA and GOC as something to hold on to. And it looks to be a matter of maybe clarifying Director Venturini's comments to the chairs and leads of ACF, but without permanently divesting ourselves. Would it be an appropriate motion or move to simply table any further consideration pending further feedback from ACF as a committee?
I think that it would be.
Or do we need to take any action? I think that's a call that you need to make.
I would turn that. I don't believe that we have to. We could certainly table it. That's my understanding. Director Nixon, can you confirm?
Yes, you could table it. That is an action you took with the workday request at the last meeting. The typical menu of options is, taking no action at this time, asking for additional information, which is what step you already took in this, or actually placing it on the work plan or not. So if you would like to hold on to it and set it aside, but not let it go, that is a possibility. We can make that happen.
I think that Representative Millett raises a very good point that we may not need to bring the Wild Blueberry Commission back before GOC. And I'd like to recognize Senator Timberlake.
And I thank Representative Millett for bringing it forward, because I would have no problem with putting this onto the table and holding it there in case after January, when they report back to ACF and ACF decides that maybe it's something we need to look at into the future, then we have it on the table. We don't have to start from scratch all over again, and we can pull it back up and put it onto our work into our work table. So I would make a motion that we table this item until further review.
So recognized, and do I see a second?
Second.
Representative DeChambeau. Any further discussion? Edda, could you please call the roll?
Senator Libby. Absent. Senator Keim. Absent. Senator Bailey.
Yes.
Yes. Senator Bennett. Absent. Senator DeChambeau.
Yes.
Yes. Senator Timberlake.
Yes.
Yes. Representative McDonald.
Yes.
Yes. Representative Dillingham. Absent. Representative Arata.
Yes.
Yes. Representative Millet.
Yes.
Yes. Representative O'Neill.
Yes.
Yes. Representative Stover.
Yes.
Yes. 8 yes, 4 absent.
Thank you. And now we have a report from Director Nixon. Could you please give us the status of projects in process?
We're,
Oh,
we
and
are
actually,
work-
sorry, I want to thank Senator Moore for joining us today.
Sure, thank you. Y'all have a great weekend.
You too.
Bye. Thanks.
Yeah, so we're still sort of in the same boat. We don't, we're working hard on the Maine Citizens Initiative process project and getting that report ready to present to you at the end of June. We're also working hard on finalizing and wrapping up the seed capital investment tax credit and getting that reported to you over the summer. We're working actively on the additional piece of work related to the Maine Commission on Indigent Legal Services, and have completed a survey of judges and interviews with the screeners. And we're looking at issues related to orders for payment and collection of payment from those clients determined to be partially indigent. We have, now that you have approved the parameters for the credit for the rehabilitation of historic properties and the research expense tax credit, we will be diving into those more fully. So those will get added to the sort of current active work. And we have in the queue, as soon as resources are available, to start scoping out work related to the frontline worker survey for the Department of Health and Human Services Office of Child and Family Services. Following up on recent reviews, the Maine Commission on Indigent Legal Services, from the report that you had in November and that was processed more fully by the committee in February, decision to have quarterly reporting from them. So they will be, they are preparing to make a presentation at your next meeting on May 28th. So you'll hear a report back on them on the other pieces of research, not the piece that we're doing now. And as for new requests, so you have just discussed the Wild Blueberry Commission. You also have the workday request that you set aside at the last meeting in a similar sort of posture. And then you have the new request that you heard today that we will be gathering more information for you on related to the RFP process.
Thank you, Director, for that report. Our next meeting is scheduled to take place on Friday, May 28th at 9 a.m. Seeing no further discussion, questions, Senator Timberlake.
I just want to comment that my backdrop today behind me was taken about 20 minutes before I came in here. Apple blossoms are in bloom. It's beautiful out. I hope you all have a great weekend and a wonderful time, and I'll see you next week sometime.
I love that photo. I hope we all get outside. And Senator DeChambeau.
Yes, I'm sorry. Yeah, I just want to tell you right now, the 28th, I gave myself a vacation day. It's Memorial Weekend.
Good for you.
I won't be here. I'll probably go look at those trees at Mr. Timberlake's area. So
please come.
I will.
I might tap Senator Libby and tell him that it's all his that weekend. We'll see, or that day.
Okay.
Well, I hope everybody has a wonderful weekend. I hope you get outside and enjoy the great weather. And I will see you all, well, some of you, on the 28th. Meeting adjourned.
Thank you.